This week, we had the privilege of speaking with Scott Carson from the Business of Smiles. If you've ever wondered about the boundaries of human generosity, wait until you hear from Scott. Scott Carson commits his time, energy, and money to put a smile on people's faces. For what reason? Just that, a simple smile to lift people up and give them hope. The work he does at the frontline communities is breathtakingly human, heartfelt, and so meaningful to people. Strangers who without prior knowledge fell into the trap of Scott's abundance and love. Want to talk about happiness? We can think of no better person to hear from than Scott Carson. We hope you enjoy this. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Men, Women and Happiness. I'm joined by my co-host, Leanne Kansler, and a very special guest, Scott Carson. Scott, I came to know a few months ago, and the work he does at the coalface is it's incredible. And I didn't really believe it. And I've been out in the streets with Scott the last couple of days, and it's very confronting to do what Scott does and what he tries to gift people. And interestingly enough, in a lot of our podcasts so far, Leanne and I have talked about men and women, but today we're going to talk about happiness in general. And Scotty Carson's the guy that I think, to me, represents someone who's really trying to gift people connection and happiness today. So welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Scotty. Thanks for having me on. Thank you, Leanne, for having me on. I look forward to sharing a smile and a few opportunities.
Absolutely. Your story is so inspiring, Scott. So I think our listeners would really get a lot out of hearing from you. And I'm wondering if you can start with a little bit of, I guess, what happiness is to you and how you got started with your projects that you do.
Thank you, Leanne. Happiness. What is happiness? We're all in the search of it, and I think for me, the best way for me to describe it is my birthday last year. So go back 18 months. And it was a birthday that really meant something to me because of the present I was given. I'm one of the hardest people in the world to buy for because there's nothing really that I want. And I would, if anything, I love connection. But my son and my wife spent $5 on something for me that created pure joy for me. It was a secondhand book from the Dalai Lama, The Essence of Happiness. And the reason why I was so happy with that wasn't because of the book. It's because they understood me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So simple.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to make me cry.
Yeah. Oh, shit, I should have got the tissues.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that what we all are looking for? To be understood.
Absolutely.
To be seen, to be acknowledged.
Yeah. I guess that leads me to my next question, that I think, your story as to how you got into this space that you are now. When I saw that, I was horrified. I was looking at your website and I saw your video and I thought, no, that actually can't be true. But it is true. So would you mind sharing with your listeners, what the catalyst was for getting you to do what you're doing today?
Yeah, no worries. I'd love to. I just describe myself as a man trying to be the best version of himself. Life has gifted me many opportunities to grow. But I think the catalyst for what is now the Business of Smiles is a single incident. There's been a lot of incidences in my life or experiences that I've had that have gifted me a lot of different opportunities to grow. But it was this single incident that gave me the biggest question. I'll share that with you. So it was the day before Mother's Day down in Melbourne. And if you know Melbourne, it's beautiful Yarra River runs through it. And it was actually 28 degrees in May. And so we chucked the bikes on the back of the car and drove into the city. And
it's not looking like it's going to be 28 degrees here for another 10 years at the moment, by the way.
No, but it is partly sunny. Yeah. It's partly sunny. So we'll take that. And so we parked up at St Kevin's. We jumped on the bikes and rode into Port Melbourne and cruised around Port Melbourne, went into South Melbourne and had a beautiful lunch. And one of the things I love talking about South Melbourne is the dimmies. Like, I'm a dimmy nut. So we stopped and had our dimmies. If you're in Melbourne, go to South Melbourne, get yourself some dimmies. They are magnificent. Very well known. Then we went for a ride further after lunch into St Kilda, and little man fell asleep on the back of the bike. And so we stopped and watched a footy. Beautiful, gorgeous day. Little man woke up, jumped back on the bikes, rode into the city, back into the city, and stopped off a Lindt chocolate bar. I had my double hot chocolate. Little man had his baby chino, and the boss had her cappuccino. We're riding back to the car. I'm about a minute from the car. I heard a noise. I didn't even have to turn around to know what had happened. When I did, my wife is lying there with blood pouring out of her head and her mouth, not moving. Thank God my son was on the back of my bike. So there we are. On the bike path, grass, Yarra River. I'm holding my wife in my right arm, blood pouring from her head and her mouth, not moving. At that point, I thought she was dead. My 2-year-old son in my left arm. People kept running and riding past us. Nobody stopped.
It's just so hard to comprehend how no one can stop.
That sat with me for quite some time.
Mm.
It took 6 months for the recovery for my wife to be able to walk and talk again.
Mm.
She's doing amazing now. She really is, like she's back up, killing it at work and doing her F45 and running.
Beautiful.
A
And what was
burning
it
question.
from that day that led you to now? What decision did you make around life, I guess?
Well, it took time.
Yeah.
What kind of society do we live in that we don't stop for a man with a woman and child in his arms?
Yep.
Yeah. Sat with it, burnt me. Just how disconnected we are.
Mm.
So what's the one thing I can do to reconnect us? What's the one thing I can do? Smile. So since then, and since the business of Smiles has come about, and I've been doing a lot of personal development work, and I'm looking at that incident, and I'm looking what I was projecting that people didn't want to be near me. Was I projecting anger? Was I projecting fear?
Mm.
And I was probably projecting both.
Mm.
So how do we step into that?
That's a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
What can I do to change things, rather than, what most people do is continually looking outside of themselves and blaming. Instead, you took action.
Yeah, I did. Because we're worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worth it. My son's worth it.
Yeah.
My wife's worth it. You're worth it. Scotty's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What you do now, man, is I've experienced it, and it's challenging work. And I know you're making fun of me just today, actually, about how much I feel awkward doing what you do. But I'd like people to hear what you do and what you're doing out there to engage people around this, because it's incredible. It's hard to describe to people until they've seen it.
Yeah, well, thank you, Scotty. Like I just walk the street saying thank you to people for doing their best. Then I ask their permission if I can gift them a pair of socks. But they're not just any pair of socks, yeah? They're bright yellow, black polka dots. Those black polka dots, they represent our dark days. We all have them. No one's getting out of that. But there is more sunshine in the dark days. Sometimes we just need a reminder. There's a much bigger message on the socks that will sit with you. You know, I was on the streets at 14. I've had an interesting, colourful life. And I can sit here and tell you that I love who I am. Yeah. Because I kept working on myself, like you just heard, where the accident happened. I've had to take responsibility for my part in that too. You know, and I hate the mirror, but I also love it.
That mirror is a beautiful place if we allow ourselves to grow and not get stuck in the pain.
Yeah, 100%. But sometimes we need to understand that. Sometimes we just need someone to stand with us to put the mirror there for us.
Gently.
Hold our hand.
Yeah.
You know? So I think we were just talking off air and talking about how do I explain what I do? What is it? I'm just going to share today with you. Just today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started 9 o'clock this morning in the community kitchen in Frankston. Gorgeous place. Just packing up our socks, getting ready for today. And 2 beautiful people I'd met the day before were in there talking to each other, having breakfast. Community kitchen in Frankston gives meals to those that need a meal, supports our community.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, do you guys know how to play dominoes? Haven't played for years. I said, awesome. So can I bring over the domino set and come and sit and play? As we were playing, this gorgeous human being sitting next to me, this beautiful woman, starts talking about how her life has been, why she uses drugs, doesn't understand the perception around it, how she goes further into a hole by the society that looks at her, shows she's broken, so it pushes her further down. And I thanked her for that. She said, what do you mean? I said, thank you for being honest. Thank you for sharing that. Like, that's some real stuff. So we sat there, kept playing dominoes. And she shared a lot more. She goes, I can't believe I'm sharing this with you. I said, thank you for that. I said, that's the gift that I hold now in my heart. I said, is it okay if I give you a pen and a notebook? I said, because it's really important for me to know your story. And if you have the courage and strength to actually write it, I promise you I'll read it. So we sat there and shared that. She goes, I'll let you know. I said, thank you. I said, don't promise me, but when you're ready. She goes, it's going to hurt. I said, yeah. I said, I'm going to be here. You know how to get me. If it hurts, talk to me. We'll get through that bit. I'll get to the next bit. One thing today for tomorrow. Beautiful. So I finished playing dominoes and having that conversation. And then I'm sitting there having a conversation with my paid work, which is supporting builders around Australia with their emotional well-being. And in this meeting today, I had two amazing builders, and one of these builders lost their son who was 2 years old. And we're just sitting there coming up to Christmas. It really hurts, you know, and it's how to honor that. This guy comes in as I'm talking, and there's a couple of people, not unlike this on the Zoom. And he goes, mate, you're the sock guy. He goes, I heard I can get some socks from you. I said, yes, you can. I said, thank you very much. So I'm just in a meeting at the moment. I said, actually, do you want to come and sit down and meet this builder? Okay. I said to the builder, I said, do you mind if I share what's going on to our conversation? And this guy's in a really tough spot. He's really struggling with life, you know?
Yeah.
And and I shared the story, and his heart goes, I'm so sorry to hear that. I said, this person, I said, thank you so much. Thank you so much for honoring this person. And then the coin was flipped. He got to share some of his story. Person, the builder, got to feel his heart. And we're all sitting there in tears, just honoring each other with our stories, supporting each other with love in our hearts, wanting to understand each other. We didn't have to go into the full story. We just had to see each other and understand that we've all got dark days. So we sat there for half an hour sharing these stories as a guy I've never met before in my life.
Wow.
Who just come in to us because I heard about the socks.
Wow.
Amazing.
So I go into my next meeting where we're talking about the transaction that just happened. And it happens to be a guy who lives 40 minutes away. Inside that meeting, he goes, I'm going to come down. I said, brilliant, excellent, come down. So he come down while I'm having my next meeting, and we're talking with the builders, and we're going through what's going on for them at the moment. And he rocks up and we sit down and brings his son, who has been bullied pretty heavily and is extremely anxious. Sat and had lunch and had a bit of a yarn. I said, come on, guys, let's go for a walk. What? Gonna go do the sock thing? Yeah, we are. Excuse me. And
So bad, actually. Let's call it the pollen.
Mate, it's, everything's going on. I'm getting a bit tired. It's getting towards the end of the year, right? So, but I went walking with his father and son, and gave them both socks, and I gave them an example of what we do. I've walked up and said, just want to thank you for doing your best right now. I said, okay, if I gift you a pair of socks, and we'll go through the story, and then we sit and we listen. I go, wow, that's pretty cool. I said, okay, your turn. And what? I said, your turn to walk up, just say thank you for doing your best, and you have to share with them with your heart. And he did. His father did. They walked together, and they said thank you to people strangers never met before. After that, the young boy, 14-year-old boy, turns around and goes, I didn't know I could just talk to strangers, because I didn't know that could happen. So how does it feel? He goes, I don't feel anxious.
Oh,
I'm like, thank you so much. So they had to go to get home. So beautiful, excellent, awesome. What an amazing opportunity.
yeah.
Just touch hearts. And I honor this guy. Keep in mind, this builder's going through a very hard time right now because of what's going on in the building industry. He's had some opportunities around things, and he's just done that with his son. Thank them on their way home. Finish up, go back into the community kitchen. We're sitting there having a yarn. This gorgeous young guy comes in, 14, 15 years old, and he's been coming in there for about a year and extremely anxious and doesn't talk to anybody. But I got his name the other day, and so I've just opened up the door. And he came in today, and I thanked him for doing his best and gifted him a pair of socks. I said, listen, I need you to read it. I need you to understand what it is. I said, I want to tell you. I need you to understand. He goes, I understand this because I have dark days. Took his shoes off, put the socks straight on.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much they meant to him. And we just opened a little tiny door in that moment. I said, listen, the dark days, I understand. So if you ever need to share, I'm here. You know where I am. Said, okay. I said, but can I get your help, please? So I said, I really need your help. I said, there's a couple people over there. I think they could really do with a smile and a pair of socks. Are you okay to help me? Yep. I said, okay, brilliant. He walked straight over to these two people that he'd never met before in his life, and he thanked them for doing his best. And he muddled it up and he felt a bit awkward. I said, you've just done perfectly, mate. I said, just go with your heart. So he stumbled through it, gifted the socks, and then I followed through with the message. Came back down and sat down. The joy in his face was extraordinary.
Oh, that was awesome, man. I watched that kid walk into that cafe today with his hoodie on, and he's looking down and he's not looking at anyone. And the end of the day, or at that moment, his hoodie was off, and he was like taking care of how he looked, and everything had shifted for him. And I was in a conversation with somebody at the time, and I just wanted to focus on what was going on with that kid. It was a big shift, mate. It was a huge shift, and actually even better, the people he gifted the socks to told him actually how proud they were of him.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's these
You're going to make me cry.
These tiny moments of being seen and acknowledged, and someone saying, I believe in you. I know that you can do this. And this was just, in inverted commas, handing out a pair of socks. But it sounds like that poor young guy has not had the opportunity for someone to really believe in him. And what you gave him today was a life-changing minute. It's just, oh my God, I feel like I want to cry as well. It's just
Yeah, I need window wipers on these glasses for sure.
So, I want to
Yeah.
share with you what was actually going on in the background. I met a guy earlier in the day and had the conversation. I gifted him a book and a pen. He was sitting in the background writing down his story. He sat there for over an hour and a half filling out those pages.
Yeah, he did.
And said,
Yeah,
I'll be
he
back
did.
tomorrow to finish that. So that's a pretty extraordinary day, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't even gotten close to
Amazing,
where I'm
man.
going yet because
I got to say, man, I've spent the last 2 days in that kitchen, and you know, I live in a very privileged part of the world, and I'm sitting in this cafe with people who are clearly struggling with the effects of heavy drug usage and whatever, and that kitchen is so open and welcoming and respectful to everybody, and I love being there. It's just great to be there, and as you know, I was smashing out my laptop in there today, but I just loved it.
Thank you, Scotty. Thank you for actually seeing what goes on and feeling it, because here's the thing, right? There's actually no fear in that community. Like it's a safe place to be for everybody. Once we understand each other, once we accept each other as we are, and we don't have the projection of fear, right? The reason why the Bayside Community Kitchen works so well is because of the people in it are very compassionate. One's a alcohol and drug emergency worker. Another one, they're just people who've been around the scene. So we just, wherever people turn up, they turn up, and we just accept them as they are. And that's the most beautiful part of it. You know, like I could tell you so many more stories about today, but this place is special, you know. So when I got in there early, the first thing today, there's a guy just sitting there who just needed some time away from everybody. And so it was granted to him. He could just sit there, you know, and take his time. There's no pressure. There's no has to leave. There's no have to eat, have to drink. Just be there, you know. And I'm really proud to be a part of that. You know, like, to be honest, this sounds like a lot today. I've only just scratched the surface of what I've done today. I came home barefooted today because I gave my shoes to a guy who needed them. Right. And this sounds crazy, but I'm so grateful I had to connect with him. I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity. And I'm not, you know, I'm not somebody, I don't need praise for bits and pieces, but he had significant issues with his feet. Right. And feet for me are the foundation of the human experience. Our feet are strong. My tool of choice is socks for a reason. They're supporting our feet, the foundations of being human. We need to look after our feet. And it so happens that I spend a lot of time on my feet, and Ultra, who look after my feet, support me with the shoes I need. Today, I saw this guy's feet and I saw the pain from the shoes he was wearing. So he put the socks on, he could feel the socks. This is just out of my local supermarket, right? And he just goes, geez, they feel wonderful. Right, because the quality of the socks is really super important to me, because if you ever get given a gift that's not a good quality and it doesn't really mean anything, right, it feels like that. So let's go back to the happiness. Let's go back to that point. What's my happiness? Being understood and known. Good quality socks, they feel good. I looked at his feet and I honestly said, look, you're having a lot of trouble with your feet, aren't you? So what size shoes are you? I said, same. I said, okay, cool. I said, look, these are a bit worn in, but they allow for expansion, and they'll allow for how your feet are, and they'll make a significant difference. You put them on. He goes, oh my God. He goes, it's like walking on air. I said, dude, I said, they're my gift to you. I said, because I want you to be stronger. I want your foundations to be stronger so the rest of you is good. Like, I live in a privileged world. I'm so great. And privilege is not even the word for it. I live in this glorious place where every single person I've ever met has added value to my life. Every single person.
Yeah.
You know, and I meet some extraordinary people. Do you know some of the people I've had the biggest impact on? CEOs who have nobody to talk to. Scotty, Scotty.
Me, absolutely me.
Yeah.
I mean, you've become a very good friend of mine in a very short space of time. And, you know, I think if Leanne and I are going to talk about happiness, we can't just have this one episode with you, mate. It's what you do and how you think about this is so transformative for so many people. And yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't thank you enough for who you are and how you show up, bud.
Absolutely. And I just want to really point out, Scott Carson, that the reason everyone that you come into contact with brings some happiness to you and brings some value to you is because of you. Because you don't have that judgment, you don't have that closed heart, the big wall. You see, you see people's souls. You know,
Yeah,
you don't just see the pain and the trauma. You see them, which is a magnificent gift, and I think we can all learn from that, including me. I'm sure the other Scott and all of our listeners. You know, because we're all the same deep down. We're all having an experience in this world, and some people have been lucky enough to be born into a family where they're being loved and looked after, and you know, they can really create something beautiful. And some people are unfortunate enough to be born into a world where their families are absolutely struggling through so much stuff. And it's people like you that remind us that underneath all of those addictions and homelessness, there is a human soul that is beautiful.
It needs to be
I have no more words.
respected and loved.
If I can, I'd like to jump in there because we live in a world where fear is the tool of choice for most things.
Yes.
Right. And division, it's an opportunity because we don't know ourselves enough that we push people away, or, you know, the concept of fear, it's a great tool, right? Because you get to manipulate things to do what you want. I dream of a world in which we all choose to live with love in our heart. I dream of a world in which fear is something that we embrace, because we don't fear something we understand.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And if we choose to understand something, you'll no longer carry the fear with it. And for me, that's the extraordinary gift of life.
Yeah.
Curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as humans, we are more alike than we are different.
Mm.
And if we focus on the things that we have in common and then appreciate the differences, that's the magic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe I live through rose-colored glasses, you know.
No, man, you don't. You don't. I mean, I saw that today. There was a guy who was having a psychotic episode in the cafe, and I what I observed most is everyone in the cafe kind of getting a little annoyed about it, but actually no one left.
Mm.
No one left, and he was asked on maybe 7 or 8 occasions to calm down and then eventually leave, but no one left. And you know, if that sort of person was in the cafe where I live, everyone would have left.
Oh yeah.
So you know, that to me was amazing, because even despite his challenges, people accepted that, you know, what he was going through in a way, right? And that's again what you were saying about there's more alike in us than there is difference, and if we see it that way, it changes our experience. But mate, I'm
going to grab that, Scotty, because this is the key, right? Here's the thing. He's welcome back tomorrow. He's just having a bad day.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what the woman said around the cafe. Yeah. You're just having a bad day today, bud. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right, man. And that was what was so cool. Hey, listen, I want to invite you back regularly. You're our first guest, by the way, which is really cool.
Oh, thank you.
You're my favorite, man. And you ask me to actually show up differently every day, and You asked me to show up in ways that are really uncomfortable for me, and that makes all the difference from my experience. And this is Leanne's first time of meeting you, and I can see she's already very moved about who you are. So thank you for joining us.
I love you, Scotty.
You're amazing, mate.
Yeah,
I love you too, bud.
definitely. I definitely want to talk to you again. It was really, really beautiful hearing what you guys are doing down there. I'm wondering if there's a way that if our listeners want to support you, that they can support the kitchen, and they can support you with your socks. What can they do?
Yeah, I love that. Go to www.ihopeyouaresmiling.com, right? And either go to buy a pair of socks. Every time somebody buys a pair of socks, it allows us to gift a pair.
Nice.
And it's really important with the socks. This is a big thing, right? It's a pay it forward to know in every aspect that we do. How do you say to somebody, I see you, I know you're struggling, but I want to acknowledge you, without having to have the conversation, without having to put your fear of having that conversation onto that person? You buy them a pair of socks with the message on it and just say, I just want to thank you for doing your best right now.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge them for where they're at. And if they open up, just listen, and that's the power of the socks. But if you want to get behind us, look, contact us, right? Because this is the best part about this. This is the thing I love. We're a community, right? We all live in one community. We can only do what we can do if you provide the fuel.
Yeah,
right?
I'll definitely be buying some socks.
Yeah. And thank you, because that's what this is about, right? Go to the My Cause page we've got up there, donate some cash, and we'll keep the mission going, because we're worth it. Yeah. And we all live in this community.
Yeah.
Whether you're a drug addict, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a policeman, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a child, whether you're the baker, whether you're the butcher, whether you're the local teacher, right? We all live in this community. We all have an impact on one another, whether it's a CEO who's got too much on his plate and is driving home because he can't think because he's got mounting pressure from financial opportunities, staff issues going crazy, can't concentrate, goes home and dumps all his crap on his family. Yeah. He needs a safe place just as much as everybody else.
Absolutely.
We're all here together. We all have our dark days. Let's walk this journey together.
For sure.
Thank you.
We're going to put those links in the notes.
Thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thanks.
Can't wait to do it again. Love you, mate.
Thank you so much for having me on. And, I'm just excited about this journey called life. And I really believe that right now we're at the most important time and pinnacle of the human existence. We've gone through enough pain that we're going to learn each other more. We're going to learn more about each other. I'm so excited.
Agreed.
Thanks,
High
man.
five to that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cheers.